This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Mets gave one away tonight in the opener of their series with the Atlanta Braves as they fall in extras by a final score of 5-4. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And there is no sugarcoating this one tonight. The New York Mets gave this one away. And the house of horrors that Truist Park, Atlanta, playing on the road against this team, it reared its ugly head tonight. And I, for one, thought that they had rid themselves of this house of horrors feel with what they did in game 161 and 162 at the end of last season. But that was wrong because the New York Mets allowed this game to completely fall apart tonight in the eighth inning and then in extra innings. And this was going well. It was going exactly how we wanted this game to go. And normally we don't do this. Normally this isn't the path we take on the postcast, but I think the best way to do this is let's go in order. And what we're going to be talking about is how the game started and then how very quickly and seemingly out of nowhere it wasn't going well.
This is what you'll be talking about.
We asked this team to respond. We asked this team to show us something at the start of this series. I sat in this chair in front of this camera to all of you on this exact postcast on Sunday, and I said, tough series loss, inexcusable, but let's see how they respond. Let's see how they dust themselves off. Let's see how they come out and play in the opener of this series against Atlanta. And I'll tell you, I thought I was going to be able to take somewhat of a small victory lap to start the postcast because they responded in a big way. Juan Soto starts off the game with a home run to give the Mets a very quick 1-0 lead, handing David Peterson an early lead. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead in this game, and David Peterson was the exact guy you wanted on the mound in this game, and he delivered exactly what we wanted to see through the first 7 innings of this game until he didn't, until the 8th inning. And the 8th inning is where this completely fell off the rails. He walks the leadoff guy. You just can't do that. They maybe stick with him a little too long. I didn't have a problem with letting him try to get out of that jam. But once the tying run comes up, you go to the bullpen. You go to the one guy that you trust to get yourself out of these jams. Reed Garrett is the fireman. Reed Garrett is the magician. He's the guy that you want when this team has inherited runners on the base paths. And he was this close to getting out of it. He was this close to pulling off the magic trick. And he almost had Ozuna, and then Ozuna deposits one into left field, clears the bases. I don't know if Lindor would have had him at the plate. I know the broadcast was kind of debating whether or not. I don't think so, but the game is tied. You go to the 9th inning. You don't score. Edwin Diaz shuts it down in the bottom of the 9th, even though he did not look his sharpest, did not look his best. And then we go to the 10th inning. And this game is lost the moment the Mets don't score a run in the top part of the 10th inning. You cannot, as the road team in extra innings, not score a run. In fact, I'm of the belief that you can't score just one run. That if you want to win as the road team in extra innings, you have to score at least 2. Because in the bottom part of the inning, there's just an automatic runner available. The tie game is automatically there without even a hit. You bunt them over, a sac fly, and the game is tied. You have to score 2 in the top part. And so when you score 0, you're done. It's over. And then the bottom of the 10th, and let's talk about it. Francisco Alvarez just makes a boneheaded play. I mean, it is just, you cannot make that play in that spot. You have the lead runner. You have the winning run dead to rights. A ball bounces away, not far enough away to where you can't make a play on it. You pick it up, and you have the runner absolutely nailed. There is nowhere for him to go, and you do the one thing that you cannot do. You cannot throw behind the runner in that spot. Even if you throw it to third and he's going back to second base, The worst thing that happens there is you didn't let him advance. I mean, this is something I used to coach my daughter's softball team. These are things I teach our catchers. The worst thing that can happen in that spot is the runner doesn't advance. But when you throw behind the runner, you've now given him the free base. And you just cannot do that. And you wonder if the hitting woes are now starting to carry with him into the defensive side, because that's a play that he just cannot make. And he was frustrated in this game. He slammed his bat during this game when he wasn't able to move the runner over in the top of the 10th. And so that happens in the top part of the inning. The bottom part of the inning is where he makes the defensive mistake. You just wonder if there's just a lot going on upstairs. There's a lot going on in between the ears, and he is overthinking it because you just cannot make that play. And it, again, the moment the Mets don't score in the top part of the inning, I think they're done. But you can't gift the sacrifice fly to win the game. If you get that runner, if you make the right play, now you've got 2 outs. The runner's at first. And now if Olsen hits or Riley hits the ball that he hits, or Olsen hits a ball, you're out of the inning. We're going to the 11th, and Brazoban gets out of it. You just cannot make that play. And, you know, for all of those out there that call this a house of horrors and just think of all the bad things that go on in this ballpark, I can't blame you for thinking that today, because this game, through the first 7, it was just cruising. I mean, it just felt like the perfect medicine. It felt like it was exactly the type of game that we wanted to see from this team until it wasn't. And it just devolved so quickly. It happened so fast. And I see some people in the chat mentioning why David Peterson went out there for the 8th inning. You are being extremely results-oriented. Did you not watch the first 7 innings of the game? Did you not watch David Peterson be exactly the same guy that we saw in the last outing where he had a complete game shutout? He was cruising. I have no issue with you allowing him to start the 8th inning. If you wanted to say that when he lost the first guy to a leadoff walk, you should have had somebody up behind him and taken him out of the game, fine. But with the way that he was pitching through the first 7 innings, he absolutely earned the opportunity to start that 8th inning. Again, the subtlety of they should have had Reed Garrett up and he should have been ready a moment's notice. The first time a runner got on base, that's fine. But to be here after this game and for the complaint to be that David Peterson shouldn't have started the 8th inning, you have not been watching the last 2 starts. He was excellent again tonight. I know the final line looks a little wonky because of the leadoff walk and because of the chaos that occurred after that with Reed Garrett. But man, through the first 7 innings, he was exactly the guy you wanted on the mound, exactly the guy that the Mets needed in this game, in this spot, trying to bounce back from 3 games in a row that they had lost. And it just, Reed Garrett didn't get out of this one. And he was this close. He got the first 2 outs and he barely, Ozuna barely got him. He almost had that at bat as well. So again, I want to hear you want to complain about Francisco Alvarez? Fine. You want to complain about this offense going quiet after they scored 3 in the first 2 innings? That's fine. You want to complain that they didn't take Peterson out after he had the leadoff walk? That's fine. But I do not want to hear any David Peterson slander here tonight, because he was excellent once again. He is the best starter that the Mets have right now. And he was great once again tonight and put the Mets in prime position until everything fell apart there in the 8th inning. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll get more of your thoughts here. This is a tough one. I mean, this is a huge game that the Mets gave away. If you wanted to say it was the worst loss of the season, considering the opponent, I wouldn't blame you. Just a brutal loss that the Mets handed to the Atlanta Braves. They just gave it away in the 8th inning and then ultimately in extras. So more of your thoughts, the other stuff that we are keeping an eye on, all of it here on the other side. Supply House, you can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Whether you are in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House, the reliable way to order products online. They've got an easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources, the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, they've got a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Maybe you need some help with an order. Supply House, they've got expert support, industry-leading service. You're always going to talk to a real person. And for those trade pros out there that are looking for that extra edge, they've got a free TradeMaster program that offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time that you had a service emergency. Maybe you got a busted pipe. The first plumber didn't answer. Did you wait around? No, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. It's the #1 business phone system that's going to help you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. And there's an AI agent that can handle those after-hour calls, answer common questions, and capture leads so that you never miss a customer again. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Mets listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have an existing numbers with another service, don't worry, OpenPhone is going to port those numbers over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Back here on the Mets Postcast, Chris Schubert with you. The Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed is the Mets fall in extra innings. They fall to 4-4 this season in extra innings, 5-4 to the Braves, holding on to just a 2-game lead here in the National League East. I see somebody ask the first 4-game losing streak of the season. Yes, the first time the Mets have lost 4 games in a row, coming off their first time getting swept all season. And these are bad times for the New York Mets. These are the roughest, choppiest waters that they have faced so far this season, and they're going through it across the board. Right before the game, Tyler McGill lands on the 15-day IL, so now they're juggling more of their pitching rotation and calling up guys and needing to figure out who's going to start for Tyler McGill. I'm assuming that there's going to be a roster move made ahead of that start to call somebody up. They were already dealing with Kodai Senga being down, Frankie Montas not doing great in the minor leagues, and Brett Beatty's dealing with something. The Mets only had one lefty available on the bench tonight. It was Brett Beatty, and I'm not sure how available he actually was, because definitely could have seen him pinch hitting for Jared Young in the latter stages of the game when Young's spot came up. And you'd have to think that's a Beatty spot, even though Beatty's not a great pinch hitter. Probably would like to give Beatty and that bat speed and the ability to get the ball out of the yard a chance in that spot. And so the fact that he wasn't used in that moment tells me that they are really trying to play it careful. So they had a small bench tonight, bunch of right-handed batters, didn't really have the options there late. And you saw a team that, let's face it, after they got that 3-0 lead, Tyrone Taylor had a nice game, including the home run to make it 4-0, but they didn't really do a whole lot. 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They only left 2 guys on base, just didn't have a lot of base traffic after they got those first couple of runs to take that early 3-0 lead. And we didn't mention it in the discourse of going through the game, but I mean, are you kidding me with that play by Ronald Acuna Jr. out there in right field? And I don't know what Juan Soto was thinking. I'm not sure what he was looking for. I know that you need to go halfway in case it plays off the wall and you don't want to get doubled up. But I mean, are you kidding me? Like, how are we doubled off on a ball that's hit all the way to the wall and Acuna is bouncing off of the wall? Like, what's going on? I mean, that's just insane to get doubled off in that spot. And, you know, Pete got doubled up in this game. Pete got out trying to stretch a single into a double. I mean, there were just countless number of blunders, and you started to get the feeling of, oh no, like, what's going on here? Like, these are simple mistakes that this team should not be making. And they did, and you blinked, and it was 4-4 in the 8th, and you just got that nasty feeling in your stomach. I mean, I texted a buddy in the bottom of the 8th when Reed Garrett came in, and I said, I feel like I'm going to puke. I mean, you could just feel it. And that is just all the history of being in that ballpark and memories of 2022 and going to Atlanta and getting swept with your prime pitchers on the mound. And it just continues. The Mets, for whatever reason, in Atlanta, other than last year in the end of the season, and it was a good one. But, man, this place is a true house of horrors. And let's see how this team responds. I mean, they are going through their toughest stretch of the season, and they have to show us that fight. And they did not. They did not show that fight, at least late in this game tonight. It started out as the response we were looking for, but it didn't end that way. And I see a comment in the chat that you can't blame Soto for that double play. He was looking for the umpire's call. That's a terrible play to pick on. I mean, the play is right in front of you. You have to look up and see and start at least going back because the umpire didn't make the call that late. They showed it on the replay and it was somewhat in slow motion. But, I mean, he made the call. Those are things that just can't happen. Those plays just cannot happen for a team that is struggling the way this team is struggling right now. You just don't expect to get doubled up in that spot ever when Acuna plays the ball off the wall. Max says, Chris, are you ready for Alvey to be sent down when Senger is eligible to come up? I've been calling for this for over a month at this point. It's just insane. I mean, I have pushed back against you, Max, and a lot of the others who have made the call for Alvey to be sent down. I wonder if they need to send him down just so he can mentally reset. And the thing that is pushing me to that point is not the offense. It's the defensive play tonight. It's the miscue of throwing behind the runner. It is something that you just know inherently not to do. You're taught that when you play 10U. You're taught that when you play 12U. I mean, you are taught to not throw behind the runner in that spot. And if you throw it to third and he's able to get back to second base, no harm, no foul. The game can continue and you can move on. And so just a mistake. So I wonder if now that his defense is maybe stumbling a little bit, if they send him down to try to give him a mental reset. Mets 21-28 says, Chris, someone needs to tell Mendoza to stop bullpen gambling. I mean, tonight is not the night to pick on Carlos Mendoza for bullpen gambling because I'm not sure what more you wanted them to do. David Peterson gave him 7 strong innings. He got into trouble in the 8th. Reed Garrett is your first reliever that you're going to use coming out of the bullpen. That's who he went to. Reed Garrett almost got out of it. And then in a tie game in the 9th, he went to Edwin Diaz. And then in the 10th, he used Huascar Brazaban. I'm not sure what else you want Carlos Mendoza to do in this game. He got 7 great innings from his starter. He went to his first reliever that he always uses out of his bullpen to get him out of a jam. And then he had his closer ready for the 9th inning in a tie game. I mean, there's not really anything else to do. I mean, this is a game that the Mets just gave away. And these are games that they just cannot afford to give away if they want to bounce back from getting swept, if they want to reach the heights of winning this division, of competing with the rest of the National League to win a championship. Just can't have games like this. These show those cracks. The fundamentals are just not there. Just a disappointing night all across the board. And then Mets 21-28 says if Peterson was taken out before the 8th inning, this will be the last time that I reference this on this postcast. David Peterson absolutely should have started the 8th inning. If you wanted to take him out after the walk to start the inning, that's totally reasonable. But for him to not start the 8th inning, we were watching 2 different baseball games tonight. You were watching a different David Peterson than I was. So where the Mets go from here, they're going to have to, we said it after Sunday's postcast, we'll say it again today, dust themselves off and rebound. This one hurts. This one hurts more because of the opponent. This one hurts more because it's a division rival. This one hurts more because it's a National League team. This one hurts more because you had it and you gave it away. Not sure we could have said the same about any of the 3 games of the Tampa series. It was just a complete and utter meltdown late. And again, they are 1 at-bat away. They had 2 strikes on Ozuna. Garrett was almost out of the jam. And perhaps this takes a different story. This is a different sounding postcast, but just another brutal loss for the New York Mets, who seemingly have been stacking them up as of late. They will pass the baton to Paul Blackburn tomorrow as he will look to get the Mets back in the win column, and they will look to snap their 4-game losing streak. You know the drill. We'll be right here to break it all down on the Mets postcast right here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. If you are new, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live. If you're listening to us over in the podcast feed, join us live. You can interact. You can be a part of the banter. Shout out to all of you here, even after a tough loss like tonight. I love the back and forth. I love being challenged. I love us having a conversation about our baseball team. So keep it coming. Always appreciate it here on the Mets postcast. But that is going to do it for us here. Another disappointing one for the New York Mets, who will look to rebound, look to bounce back, and potentially start to turn the tide here back in their favor in a place that has just been this is a disaster. Playing in Atlanta, this series can't end soon enough. I don't even want to play tomorrow's game. I mean, this series cannot end soon enough in a place that just is a house of horrors. There's no other phrase to describe what playing on the road in Atlanta has been over the last couple of years for the New York Mets. But we will be back here no matter what to break it all down tomorrow. And you know what? I'll say try to have a good one, Mets fans, but have a good one, Mets fans. We'll talk to you tomorrow.